Hey everyone, it's James at geometriccharts.com. February 11th, about 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got the 4-hour chart of Bitcoin, BTC, USD on the Bitfinex exchange. So first of all, the video is not investment advice. And second of all, we got a decent carry through. Again, a lot of the volume did get siphoned out. Some of that volume is coming back in. We went from about 7.4 down to about 5.9, and I think a little bit lower than that, and then we started to poke back up. Now we're closer to about 6.4 billion for 24-hour transactions. So at least some volume's coming back in. Not a lot of movement right now. Looks like Bitcoin did try to pump up, immediately got dumped into and slammed right back down into this consolidated range. If Bitcoin's able to hold this range, it may try to make another leg up. If not, then I think that's it. It's the end of the run. Bitcoin's going to topple back downward. But I got a feeling there's another little pump in store if Bitcoin can hold up at this level in order to just kind of sway that sentiment more bullish. Like you can kind of see like people coming out calling for much higher prices than where we currently are now. This is it. We're bouncing off the 200-week moving average a second time. We're going to the moon, and Bitcoin will be at like 20 trillion by next year. But all that aside, it definitely looks like just the same reoccurring theme over and over and over again, which is just pump and dump and pump and dump. So we hit the like a big resistance point, immediately got rejected from about the 3,800 mark and slammed back down. So if Bitcoin is unable to break through that zone, then the market's already capped it out and said, hey, guess what? It's not worth beyond 3,800. And meaning that if they can't find buyers, then guess what? Price has to drop. And if they try it again and it doesn't bust through that zone and it can't sustain trading through that zone, then Bitcoin's going to have to dive lower. And that's what I think is going on here, is that basically we're getting some nice fuel to fuel another leg down in the market. So that's what I think is happening here. Just in a nutshell, I think there's just a lot of underlying weakness. Apparently, I mean, you zoom out of the chart and you can just see it. Like, I don't think a lot of people need me to reiterate that, but that's what it is at the end of the day. You can see I have like a little red dotted line right here, just aiming downward. That is the flow of energy. So price is extending away from essentially its mean, which is facing downward at a negative slope, showing that sellers are still in control of this market, and that theme has not changed since the 20,000 top. And the further we stretch from that, more than likely the harder the fall is going to be as we return back down to that area. Now, the only way I think that could potentially get violated is if Bitcoin starts to make some big strides upward. And by big strides, I mean progressing toward the 4,400 area with some sustained strength. So I don't care whether it takes from now until the end of this year. It does not matter. All that matters is that the move upward be sustained toward the 4,400 area. And if we start breaking through that area, we're going to break through some serious downtrend lines and some negative momentum as well that has plagued Bitcoin since the 20,000 top. And if all that's happening, then I think we have our base for a sustained run upward. But I honestly think at the end of the day, there's about a 10% probability of that, maybe even less than that. I think 10% might honestly be too high based on what I see. But it's all going to come down to, can Bitcoin smash through 3,800? Can it hold trading through 3,800? And then from that zone, can we start to see a nice sustained influx in volume? And volume is going to go up and down, right? It's not all about volume. The only reason I bring up volume, and I typically don't look at it with other assets, but Bitcoin is pretty notorious for flashing like a flood of volume, and then that volume being immediately siphoned back out within like an 8-hour time frame, sometimes 12 hours, but right around that range is typically when all that volume that came in gets immediately siphoned out. And that shows me, or at least tells me from what I'm going to take home from that, is that there is a big buyer or multiple big buyers or sellers in the market that are moving these markets around. I definitely think this thing is managed, especially with the repetition of patterns and the moves over and over and over again. So anyways, hopefully all that makes sense. I think 3,800 is the key now. Bitcoin needs to break through that. If it does not, I definitely think Bitcoin's going to be retesting the 3,200 on Bitfinex. I definitely think it's going to retest that, and this was just a sucker's rally to lure everyone in. And I think even if we do get the next leg up through 3,800, it's still going to be just a continuation of the sucker's rally. The same way it was here to drive price lower is the same thing that could be potentially happening here to drive price lower. Yet once again, it worked its way down to 3,200 and maybe even sub 3,200. The scary part is that this is now the second time, sorry, that's the gold futures chart, but this is now the second time that Bitcoin has shied away from the 200-week moving average, and I don't like the proximity of how close these retests are. And if they're going to smash through that zone and drive price to the next lowest coil, which is in the mid-2000s, then I think they're going to need to manufacture a sucker's rally, then take those longs that are going to get crazy bullish. I mean, I could only imagine the articles that'll be written if Bitcoin makes it even a small leg higher. If Bitcoin breaks through like 3,800 and it reaches close to 4,000, people are going to lose their minds. Like, minds are going to explode across the board, from mainstream media to social media and etc. It's going to get wildly bullish, like it was in the past during every single rally. I just don't know how many times we need. It's like Groundhog's Day over and over again. So I think what's happening is we're shying away for one more thrust upward, and then they're just going to take that thing and slam dunk it right through the 200-week moving average. So that's what I think is happening here. And I definitely think there could be another pump upward, but I say this as in like preaching as much caution as possible to at least have some stops in place. I mean, it's not investment advice, but if you don't have stops in place during these wild and crazy swings, either to lock in your profits or mitigate the risk on taking a trade for potentially another leg up or something like that, you could be in a world for hurt pretty quick. Just as fast as these things can gain 15, 20, like look at Litecoin gaining over 30%. Today it dropped 9% or a little more than 9%. Now it's kind of pumping back up, but you could be in a world of pain. And then think about if Litecoin hasn't even given back 100% of the move. Most of these pump and dumps do that. So if you're not protecting yourself, you could really leave yourself in a really bad situation. So definitely anticipate pain. And if more profit comes, then celebrate by moving a profit stop up. That's it. So anyways, that's all for today. I'll do another video on Wednesday. Then I'll have another video on Friday. If you do like the content, you like the videos, please like, comment, subscribe, follow. And other than that, everybody have a great day, great night, depending on where you are in the world.